plenty good action here, as we would have expected. So already off to a great start, and definitely got plenty ahead of us at the same time, I'm sure. So here we are, Game 3. We joined by Mini Maga as well as Insania here as my co-caster. So once again, got the tri-cast thing going on. Already developing into the draft here. We got Ophelia, Swiftblade, Parasite, Cthulhu Font being the bans. It's a pretty jungle-heavy, actually. Both Parasite and Ophelia taken out by Willowkeeper this time around. Again, the Magnus first pick. All 3 games, I believe, Magnus has been first picked by each of these teams. We got Magnus into Rhapsody, Pharaoh into Empath. Wow, look at that. BMG going dual support. Start things off.
Yeah, and Swiftblade is banned. Like, I mean, I remember when initially with like Hanskin and when obviously BMG were the old BMG was still obviously in Hon. I used to see this like draft almost every single time from BMG. They'd pick up the Rhapsody Empath and then they'd pick up the Swiftblade. They'd run a normal Swiftblade tri-lane, then they'd have 2 strong solo lanes. But with Swiftblade banned, I'm kind of surprised they picked up Rhapsody and Empath here so early. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how they're going to finish off this draft.
There we are with Valkyrie pickup coming out for Willowkeeper. That's kind of one of those niche boxy heroes that he does prefer to play. What about you, Insania? What do you think of the prioritizing both a Rhapsody and an Empath here early on from BMG?
I personally, I mean, I'm growing up with the jungle meta. That's the meta I'm used to. I think it's better than double support, just like pure better. I would much rather see Tankafet playing Tempest than Rhapsody, which I'm assuming he's going to be playing here. And it's to me, that has a lot to do with his playstyle. Tank is kind of guy that is really in. He's the frontline player. I like to separate players as follow-up players and initiators. You got the players that want to be in. They're always in your face. They're the players that die a lot. They're the players that generally just, you don't really notice what they're doing. And Tank is like one of those guys. He's like in the front, taking space, throwing spells at everyone. And as Rhapsody, you really got to be more of a like kind of follow-up player that stays back and sits and waits for that right timing, goes in, gets that perfect ultimate off. And when I think of follow-up players, I like when it comes to support players, Red Rexar, Cormal, amazing Rhapsody. I mean, he's probably the best Rhapsody I've ever seen. And that just fits him perfectly. Tankafet, I just don't like it at all. And even though it's a great hero, amazing pick, like it's nothing bad. Like Empath Rhapsody, great picks with each other. As you mentioned, Hanskin loved that draft. Specifically for this BMG team, I don't like it. I would have much rather seen the Tempest on Tankafet.
Yeah. Well, gets the Drunken Master here, so we'll see how that ultimately plays out as far as follow-up goes. But yeah, Tankafet definitely going to get his hands on probably the Empath, as you pointed out. Puppet Master, going to be the first ban by PMG, actually. It was Pebbles into Puppet Master. There's Dark Liddy. Yeah, so speaking of Super KG, been playing a bit of Pebbles lately. Not going to be an option here in this case. So you got Dark Liddy then on top of that ban. So yeah, both teams could definitely still use a hard carry, possibly. I mean, BMG, they do got a Drunken Master at the same time, and wouldn't be out of the question to maybe see priority farm on him instead. Maybe played it by Haxrin even, but perhaps we'll see how that plays out after the draft here, but or after the bans even. Silhouette coming out.
I would assume it's Zibba playing Drunken Master, though. He was actually the first player to play that. Like, when it was first brought onto the competitive scene, it was Zibba that brought up the idea. Huh. And I think the first game, it was back in Internet Gangsters, we picked it against Day Green and won against him. It was like, alright, let's try this, whatever. I've been playing this a lot on TMM. It works. So we did it, and it worked out, and then it became a really popular pick. So it's really one of his... He's kind of like not gotten as much attention as he probably deserves on that hero, but he plays it a lot, and he plays it really well.
Yeah.
So I think that's specifically why they picked the hero. The hero doesn't really have a great win percentage, I think, overall. Yeah, 40.9%. But I think in Zibba's hand, it's probably a lot higher than that.
Oh yeah, no, I would assume that. Yeah, it is one of those where it is a little bit funky seeing those stats for 88 games. It's a lot of games too. So and seeing those stats like that, but yeah, individually, I would feel Zibba is one of the better ones, if not even the best Drunken Master out there as far as record goes. So, yeah, very possibly to get his hands on it here. So the band's going to be finishing up, though. You got Doctor into Kinesis. That's how that finishes. And, okay, yeah. So that makes a little more sense as it kind of backs up what you're saying right there. So, Torturer coming out here for Willowkeeper on their side. I assume that's definitely going to be more of the support Torturer. I mean, Tempest actually does remain on the board in the end. Wonder if Willowkeeper may go for that, or...
I doubt it. I don't think I've ever seen them run a jungle hero. on tree.
Whoa.
It's just kind of ironic considering their name.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I have to say though, I think the one game that we lost to Tree in last cycle, they ran a Valkyrie, and they run this hero extremely well. I've always been the kind of, I don't really feel like it's a strong hero, but they somehow managed to make it have a massive impact, and they played really well. And I think this is a hero that they should draft more often than they do. Even though I don't personally like the hero, I've seen them run it as on Balthazar, where he goes for like a Dawnbringer or something and just goes like farm. And I've also seen them run it on Boxy. So it just feels like that's the kind of hero that they've made work that no other team has. And it's one of those advantages they should probably abuse more, pick it more often, draft it a lot more, because it's a strong pick and people don't really know what to do against it. Ourselves included.
Oh, I was going to say, we saw yesterday against, speaking of yourselves, in that game 2, I believe it was. Still ultimately lost for them, of course, but yeah, definitely. It's always fun to watch, skill shot. One of the most iconic heroes, really, in Han. Of course, that comes from Dota, even. So, the arrow, fun ability to watch, and definitely good hands, and either one of those players would do just fine with it. Morbius being right-clicked here. Oh.
That's not a tree hero, man. That's not tree.
Okay, that's more tree hero.
That's more
Madman
tree.
coming out in the end. So, but again, the question. Oh,
Jungling Mac.
Ravener snap picked over there by BMG. That's going a little bit classic there for Super KGE. As far as
Yeah. Okay. This is actually really interesting because B thinks the tree is going to tri lane. BMG are completely convinced the tree is tri laning, and I think the way Tree would like to set us up is the defensive tri lane where they're jungling the mag and run Valkyrie as a hard carry in the short lane, where Valkyrie just farms a Dawnbringer or something. And this has to do with BMG not being experienced with the way that Tree likes to play. They draft like this very often on Tree, and it ends up being a short lane tri lane, and you don't see it coming. And I think if BMG chooses to man up on this, this could be a very interesting game. It could be a very short game because it's going to be a lot of action, two basically super high damage lanes. So we're probably going to have, as soon as they clash, maybe level 1, even 2, there's going to be kills on bottom. And this game is going to be like a fallback to maybe 2-3 years ago when you had the tri-lane meta. The tri versus tri with 2 solos in the side lanes. And important things to remember is level 6 on your mid hero and level 6 on your short lane / suicide hero, and TPs to this bottom lane, where probably a lot of the action is going to be.
Yeah. Setting up for that, and in fact, not only for that, but see at the beginning of the game, both teams heading in that direction. Now, more so Willowkeeper. You got BMG only sending a couple down here so far, and making a point that that will very likely be the case, as you're pointing out, with the lane setup. So the Rhapsody, Empath, Ravener definitely making their way down here. But Willowkeeper, they got the numbers, at least for the time being. Although Pharaoh and Madman, never mind. They're going to break off, and that'll be that. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuns down here, man. Magnus, Valkyrie, and Torture versus a Ravener, Empath, and Rhapsody. I mean, when it comes to stun potential, though, and arguably kill potential, I would think you maybe give the edge to Willowkeeper in that sense. But
it's impossible to say. I mean, both teams have so much damage that they can basically kill anyone they want to. It's basically pick and kill. So it's just going to come down to execution.
Yeah.
Who has the best mouse? Who has the most right clicks in them? Who dares to man up the longest? Then it's really just going to come down to that. Because hero-wise, they all do a lot of damage. It's just who dares to throw in those right clicks and get that extra little bit of damage out to get that little, like 2% more than the other team, and win those engages. So
mana batteries also pretty important in cases like this. So keep an eye on the. See, mana batteries pop up. Also, Ring of the Teacher, usually considered pretty important, but neither team has a Guardian Ring here, so doesn't look like we're going to see that pop up either. We got, we don't have Gloria. I don't know what that means. Is that an avatar? I'm confused. Anyways, Valkyrie, of course, being played by Balthazar here, so yes, he is going to be the priority farm in this case. You got Magnus, who is the Infusion on the Torturer. So, of course, Super KG on the Ravener here. He, on his side, is going to be that priority farm. I mean, so far, the lane positioning definitely in favor of Tree, but that's going to be for, hard denying in a sense. And you do see the pole camp is blocked by Bad Monkey Gaming. They made a point to actually get that before the first spawn even happened. So, Willowkeeper perhaps not able to get there to defend it in time, and so now they're going to get 0 creeps to work with. At that point.
Tankifat also removed a lane ward here that Tree had set up, which is a big deal because in Tri versus Tri lanes, when you're going aggressive as Hellborn, it all comes down to who has control of the jungle area next to the lane. Because if you're controlling the side next to the lane, that means you have the fog advantage. If you run into fog, the other team needs to be careful because you could be anywhere on that side. And this is really important to understand when you're Tri laning. Right now, BMG has 3 support heroes, like all the heroes are on the lane. None of them are fogging, and neither is Tree. None of them are really taking control of the side area here to the left, which applies a big pressure. You see now Root of Z is in that area, and he's controlling that. And you can probably see BMG start playing a little bit defensive on their supports, or probably even hug the right side of the lane. Yeah. And as you see, yeah, look at that. Ravenor's even backing off because he's in fog. They don't know what's going on, and it's super important to control that side.
Top lane, a little bit of pressure being put on by Zibba here on Drunken Master. That to Boxy on the Madman, but going to be fine. Expect some harassment, and especially the solo lanes to be happening, but I wouldn't think any kills, at least just yet, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, it's going to be a regenerate spawn bottom. Good rune control coming out from Magnus. Unfortunately, not the most effective rune for possibly setting up ganks. You know, if that was something like the haste or even the invis, that could have definitely started things going here at the bottom lane, but not going to be the case. A regen rune instead going to be left for Pharaoh to bottle up. And he'll use it and bring it back to the middle now. That's something else to point out as well. You know, speaking of, you know, it's one thing to have to look at the heroes that are involved in the Tri versus Tri lane, but you also have a hero like Pharaoh on the Legion side. It can definitely assist with those Tormented Souls, and he is maxing it out, it looks like. In fact, there you go. Perfect example. He throws one in, level 2, and you see all of them taking some good damage from that. So that's going to be noteworthy there. And if you're Pharaoh in this case, you think it would make sense for him to just use that every cooldown here, Mini?
Well, I mean, if he uses every single cooldown, it's going to actually push the lane, and a big thing obviously in Trial is trying to keep the lane control, because if you have lane control, then you have the ability to sort of chase down the heroes, obviously the other enemies, so you can get those extra few auto attacks. But if the lane position is right next to the tower from Tree, like, they can't put in those extra auto attacks because they can't obviously dive the tower. Another interesting thing actually is that Valkyrie's actually picked up the Courageous Leap instead of the Call of the Valkyrie, probably the sort of safest play, but at the same time they might be lacking the extra bit of damage that could have been happening if obviously the Call of Valkyrie was picked up.
I will say this, though, as we're kind of looking this lane develop here, having a Valkyrie prioritized as the farming hero is kind of a little awkward in a Tri versus Tri lane, because, you know, Valkyrie can definitely be very powerful in the Tri versus Tri lane, but usually, ideally, you'd have her sitting off to the side, you know, launching in arrows, looking for that initiation chance. In this case, she's focusing a lot on the last hits, you know, denying even. She's in that middle part where the creeps are going to be in the way. So her ideal arrows for setting up something here aren't going to nearly be as effective. She'll probably even use it more as a follow-up to a stun, rather. In fact, speaking of that, here we go, right on cue. Empath in trouble. It is a 3 versus 2 because right now Rhapsody not here. So the perfect execution. The ball lightning stun happens, but it's not going to be nearly enough to save Empath. And down she goes. You do see Ravener holding his ground, but obviously the damage already done right there. In fact, Rhapsody, yeah, she needs to be careful. Chain reaction's just out of range. Will survive, but good heads up by Willowkeeper, knowing that it was a 3 versus 2, as Rhapsody was roaming.
I mean, that's a misplay, but I mean that's a risk you take, I suppose, by Tanka. I consider it a misplay in my opinion, because you need to be on this lane. You need to win the Tri lane. This is where all the action is going to break down. You're going to probably have the 2 solos even come down here to the Tri lane to try and decide who wins this lane eventually. Normally the rotations are always to the Tri lane, not from the Tri lane. And they great punish from Tree, and that's exactly what they needed. Now Valkyrie has boots. She's a little bit more evasive, a little harder to catch. I would have, just like you pointed out though, loved to see the Ring of the Teacher. It's a fantastic tri-lane item, and this is a little bit probably due to inexperience from Tree's end, not buying it there on the Valk, going for the early Soul Scream Ring instead. As she gets caught, great leap though.
Yeah, gonna be fine with that leap away. You mentioned that earlier. Of course, by now you would have probably expected it anyways, but has that courageous leap and gonna be able to use that in time to get away. But yeah, I was thinking for both sides, even frankly. I mean, both. It's like Ravener and Valkyrie could definitely be candidates for Ring of the Teacher early on. It's not like it's out of the question. So, but now it's like going for it, but they know it's on cooldown. Now with the courageous leap, they're gonna go on ball lightning stun to follow it up. She can't do much about this, although get team support, which she does, but it's too late. By the time Magnus gets there, however, here comes the impalement from Torture. A lot of spread damage, not enough focus, though, with it. And actually, everyone will get away, but not for long, says Pharaoh. He comes in with the Wrath of the Pharaoh. And Rhapsody actually holding her ground, though, and Pharaoh all of a sudden, barely going to live. But he does, and actually sets up the kill in the process. So it was close, but does manage to survive. And That's what you stress, though. The level 6s, that's the thing. The Tri versus Tri-Lanes are going to be under-leveled. The level 6s coming in, that's going to be the biggest deal. And Feral starts that off, as you would expect.
Yeah, but again, though, you're seeing the potential, or the sort of awkwardness with this lane being pushed so far up because they lost the lane control. You saw how easy it was for BMG to actually sort of chase after Valkyrie, and at the same time, it forced Valkyrie to play far up, where actually the supports are actually back stacking. So in that case, lane control is actually very, very important. Support does die in the Ancients, but again, he bought out and then just he's going to most likely TP back to base after that. But yeah, again, it's very important to have lane control in these tri-lanes because of those sort of situations there.
Wait a second. Is the
game pause?
Yeah, there's no message. What?
I got it. I got the message. Hellboy
Really?
is quarter, but yeah.
I don't see
Really?
any chat.
I don't
at
see
all.
anything at all. Yeah, same.
Oh, whoa. Okay, that explains
Oh,
it.
it's massive.
Holy crap.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think any of these.
well,
You're in
clearly-
there, so crap. I don't know why, but
Yeah, clearly it was only
said
certain
that the
people, I
other day.
guess.
I think you said that the other day as well. Like you lagged down. I was like, no, fine.
Yeah, I know.
English
it's-
internet, man.
I guess
English
so. It's
internet.
OP.
Damn time.
Yeah, I mean, you feel for them, but it's what's done is done. So come back in and resume on with the game. All right. Yeah, that's nuts because Empath, when she died, I didn't see anything pop up. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Oh, whatever. And also, the game just like froze. Anyways, comes back to the bottom lane as Empath. This is just the third time new BMG have run a trial lane. Tree have done it 15 times before. Jeez. So yeah, we'll keep her in that.
They normally
sense.
don't do it like this.
But
I think.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of
He caught him.
farming in the jungle. The ball lightning does catch, though, despite the courageous lead. Magnus in the background, however. Beautiful stun on the supporting cast. The follow-up arrow on Rhapsody is completely locked down. She will fall. Excellent turn coming out. I mean, it was a great initiation for Super KG, but I think that was the thing. It was great, but at the same time, it was a little too far for her teammates, for his teammates even, to follow it up. And they made the turn.
And giving Magnus a double stun there is just not acceptable. I mean, at this level of play, you gotta pay attention to how you're moving in the tri lane. You can't run on top of each other, get both Tort and him a double stun as mid lane.
That's a wretched hag. Wrath of the Pharaoh used in the face of the real one. The illusion is going to despawn right there. And actually, now Pharaoh chasing with that Hellfire Stone. Will it last long enough? Yes, it will. Haxorn falls. He's the one playing aggressive initially, and he goes down in the long run. Meanwhile, back to the bottom lane. The perfect arrow on Empath to finish her off. And now Ravener, he's not out of the woods just yet. They're going to chase onto him. Big power supply, though. And now he has a turn chance on the sudden. No, he said, screw it. I'm going to stay back. And the auto attack will finish him off. Baltazar, you talk about that. The right clicks. He just kept pounding them in. And eventually, down goes Revenant right there. Or not Revenant. Why am I playing? Ravener. Wow. I just had a complete mind lapse. Anyways, that hero.
Actually, in the meantime, Zibby does actually 1v1 boxing. Does actually get the kill. Actually, the middle lane Pharaoh getting another kill onto Zibby. Wow.
Well then.
You, motherfucker.
So at least
Kraken can't die.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
We saw the first game and this game here, especially game 3. He's doing not only living, but getting the turn kills in this case. That's a pretty big deal. Yeah, big picture, though. Right now, Willowkeeper has a huge lead at this point, it feels like.
Yeah. No, they're looking really good in this game. 9 out of 10 times when it's trialing games, it comes down to who wins the trialing. You know, solos, you guys can die as much as you want, as long as you win the trialing. And right now, Tree are both winning their solos and winning the trialing. That's a huge deal. Boxy, even though he died, he's out farming Ziva. He's doing great up there. Valkyrie's Prism being used here. This could be a massive kill. If they can get all 3 of them, maybe even.
Oh, geez. Ravener has absolutely no clue. I'm never over in the background. Maybe spotted something. Last second dust comes out, but Ravener, he's already been stunning everybody here. And that shows off. They get all 3 kills. You see Hag and Drunken Master. Drunken wanted to go in. Hag blinked away, though, so a little bit of miscommunication even. But, yeah, that would have been silly at that point. It was like 5 versus 2. So definitely probably the better decision to fall back. So everyone joining the party and, yeah, using the aggressive Valkyrie Prism. Very, very powerful tool. And they definitely make great use of it right there.
Yeah, and also also when it gets into sort of this sort of later stages, obviously in the lane phase, like 9 minutes in, nearly 10 minutes in, when you run an aggressive tri lane, like you're almost always out of position. And with obviously Ferris level 9 now, there's so much easy rotations coming out from Legion that with actually the rotation, you know, they can easily get these kills. And this is arguably the time where maybe the tri lane should dissolve. It's going to dissolve now, actually. Obviously, you see the other heroes going back to other lanes, but maybe they stayed a little bit too long down here, and as a result, obviously, Tree did capitalize as a result.
Yeah. You See Drunken Master actually even sitting down here now, so some rotations coming out from Bad Monkey Gaming. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They want to get Ravener the farm now. Obviously, the bottom lane not working out, but as I say that, I'm sorry, Super KG. In the face of the arrow, he's going to try to run away. Power supply coming in. Not going to matter, though. I mean, it came close, actually. A lot closer than I would have thought, but obviously the end result wouldn't really matter. So he still goes down. Mount bottom lane. Zibe's going to be caught in as well. The activity from Willowkeeper is just on fire right now. They are just go, go, go. Madman's still chasing. But no, he's not going to be able to commit to it, and actually Chain Reaction is just missing to maybe try to follow that up. So at least Zibe does survive. But again, Willowkeeper has definitely turned that key, and the engine's revving pretty loud right now in their favor. So top tower is denied by Bad Monkey Gaming. So again, kind of a good and bad there, at least. But right now, I mean, I would assume this transition makes sense to you guys. Probably needed, but is this even going to work is still the big question here. At this point, they send Ravener top.
It's hard to say. I mean, I personally think, you know, it's a team fight. You can never say how the game is going to go until you see the first 5 versus 5 team fight. And right now, I mean, the laning phase is definitely going in favor of Tree, but here comes, you know, the more theoretical parts of the game, where you need to know what items do we pick up and how do we take this lead that we have right now and make it into a win. Because this is probably one of the hardest things as a team to learn how to do. How do you take a lead and make it into a win without the other team just throwing the game away? Because pushing up that high ground is difficult, and knowing how to like punish teams for farming lanes like BMG are right now is hard. Hag is still harder to gank. Drunken Master, same deal there. So basically Ravener is the only hero that they have easy kills on, and as long as BMG wards up correctly for him, he is going to be able to recover.
Yeah.
So that team fight is, when Tree decides to go for it, is going to be really game decisive, and what items they decide to go for here. Very important as well.
Yeah, and also like one point you know, I actually think is a very good point to make is that obviously, you know, Tree do have this advantage, and you're talking about like how do they make this advantage and turn it into a win. One thing I think actually that Tree do have something to sort of learn from is that they do make these early advantage, but they never seem to really make a difference with it. For example, your game, you know, the last series, I think Tree were up 7,000 to 8,000 gold lead ahead, and yet they just couldn't turn that into a win. Like me and Breaky were talking about, oh yeah, this is most likely going to be a win for Tree, but no, Tree, they didn't know how to actually turn that into a win. So Tree, hopefully they'll be able to turn it into a win here. Obviously, if we're looking for Tree to win here, but in the end, this could definitely be an easy turn here for BMG if Tree are not careful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good point. Again, yesterday it was a lot more of that. They had it. Obviously, Sync, you guys had that very push-heavy lineup, and we knew that the chance was there, but it did seem like Tree was securing it. But yeah, maybe that goes back to that. That's, you know, they still are in a sense more of a newer team, at least as far as the top tiered. So looking for more of that experience, but they are in a very good spot right now. So again, it's just about closing it out. They get a second Energizer even. Madman decides to buy one, and I always find that interesting. You know, it's one thing to do that before they added the change of how you can't stack them, but it's another thing to do it after the change. I mean, do you still think it's good here, Mini?
Sorry, the stacking
the
of
Energizer.
What? Oh, second Energizer. I mean, I'm not too fond of it, obviously, but before the nerf, I think it's definitely useful and definitely, you know, it could definitely work. But after the change, it's kind of one of those things that it can work, but is it probably the best pickup in terms of items? Maybe not. But at the same time, obviously, Madman, you need those early stats. You need that sort of mana regen and the extra sort of stats you get from it. But at the same time, so does a Valkyrie. Like, you can't just build like a glass cannon build on either of these times for heroes. So, in that sense, it's not too bad. But could there be a potential better item? Maybe.
Oh, you insane!
I actually kind of like it. I kind of like it in this particular game, because if you think about it, okay, so how is Valkyrie going to use her Energizer? Probably in combination with the Valkyrie's Prism. They're going to hide somewhere in fog, she's going to pop the Energizer together with the Prism, and they're going to run into the fight. And I'm not sure how long the cooldown is, but I'm pretty sure it's shorter
25.
than the cooldown than Energizer. Is that the cooldown on the month debuff as well?
25 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cooldown is 35, and you can't sort of stack it to 25. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, you can use it before the cooldown is up. That's the whole point. So once they get into that fight with the Valkyrie's Prism and use that first Energizer to like just move themselves faster towards where they want to be, that second Energizer from Boxy could be used later on.
Yeah.
In the fight. So it kind of is okay this game, and it's great stats for Madman. You really want that item on him. There's no real other agility item that you can get early on that gives as good stats. Except for maybe Saxstone.
Yeah, no, but I'll Damn, you like the Saxstone, don't you? I was actually going to say something like an Abyssal Skull. I mean, they could possibly use that this game against the Drunken, and
Definitely.
something a solid item on him. But he gets the Energizer nonetheless, so it's not the end of the world by any means. But worth the debate. We do see Ravener. He's kind of recovered. Again, a very slow start because of how that bottom lane played out in the Traverse's try. But he's doing his part up here. And you're in a case now, maybe it's a little bit different because you are behind. Ravener could definitely build several ways. He could build more as they carry more of the hard hitting. He could also build more of the initiator. I mean, with the lineup, it probably makes more sense to see a possible portal key here. Would you guys agree?
Could not agree more with your breaking.
All right.
Perfectly said. Yeah.
Simple
I don't know how to better myself.
Thank you. Ravener is going to be pushing up the top lane. And in the meantime, though, the secondary bottom tower goes down middle lane. What do we got here? Wretched Hag trying to run away. She uses the blink. Going to be coming up in 8 seconds once again. Doesn't matter, though, as Madman not going to commit to chasing further. It looks like they tried an arrow attempt, but it did not hit right there, so going to be fine. But yeah, Ravener's actually been having some free time up here. In fact, even applying pressure to the tower, like I said, but finally they're going to pay attention to that, or Tree is going to address it even. And they send their own reinforcements up there. Magnus is close to his own portal key with that set. At 1,800 gold, so Root of Z. Not the prettiest game for him as far as farm, maybe, but he is 2-0-5, and that helps a lot. At 205 gold per minute here, so. It's the game of recovery, though, for Bad Monkey Gaming, and this could start with the help. Oh, Boxy's in trouble. The Rev War goes down. He's going to be flucked with the wall. The ball lightning does miss, but it doesn't matter. Sonar Screw to finish him off.
It's quite funny to see, actually, that Ravenor ball line was definitely going to hit, but then actually the wall came out and it forced Madman to run up. But in the end, like you said, didn't make too much difference. As long as he's dead, that's one thing. And okay, Tree, they obviously have 7,000 gold, but the experience lead has actually sort of reduced now. And obviously, it's getting into sort of the mid-game, and obviously experience is very, very important. Probably, arguably, gold is more important now because they sort of came out of the laning phase, but still, they've recovered in that sense, but now they're starting to recovering in terms of gold. So.
Portal key is picked up by Ravener right there after that exchange as well. So again, he's definitely had a good recovery right there. He's got the portal key. I mean, Ravener's definitely a strong initiator. As far as items go, I mean, as usual, in any case, it would help to have them, but he doesn't necessarily need them to be of use earlier on. He jumps in, he gets that ball lightning for initiation purposes, and the Storm Blades allow him to pump up some pretty good damage. That as well as the charges stacking up with his ultimate, of course, throughout those fights. So could definitely be a big use and a big pickup. But as we always also talk about with the portal key pickup is, are we going to see activity now, or is it still going to continue to be more of a static kind of farming game? And with where BMG is at, that might make sense still to do that. Abyssal Skull actually, not Abyssal Skull, excuse me. Soul's Bulwark picked up by Drunken Master. In the meantime.
Yeah. Pharaoh tried to hook Haxor in here.
Yeah, that's
but Hax just a little bit too quick. He fixed his right click from last game. Now he just gets it off perfectly in time. Blinks away.
That blink, man. Puzzle box on Pharaoh, by the way. he's looking really good. 336
he's
TPM.
farmed,
yeah, jeez. He's got that puzzle box, and I feel like we haven't seen. We do see a bit of Pharaoh, but I feel like barbed armor has kind of died off on the hero. It's more puzzle box nowadays. Puzzle box seems like a flavor item lately. A lot of teams are picking it up.
Probably has a lot to do with the buffs on Parasite and people just realizing how strong that item really is. As they're actually going to go for a Valkyrie's Prism here. Are they going to do anything with it? No, they're spotted by counter ward. Or no, they're not. Actually, never mind.
Just simply no way to chase it down. That is interesting, though. How about that? Balfagor and Ravener are the two heroes with at least 5 games played on record that are winless in the end. Ravener being 0-6, so well, they're looking to change that here, of course, but I don't know. I kind of get that a little bit more for Balfagor because he is one of those cheesy heroes, and the idea's there, but the execution maybe never really is the best. I know you guys have actually ran it even in Suicide. That's right. That was I think the first cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, of course that was a loss. So, but Ravener is a little more surprising to me. But hey, stats are there. Tower.
Yeah, and I actually like this. Tree are now trying to be assertive. They're trying to be like, okay, we're ahead. Let's show it to the other team. Don't let the other team farm. Like Balthazar's like, nope. You know what, guys? I don't need my Dawnbringer. Let's go fight. let's go kill heroes. I'm tired of farming creeps. And this is what they need to do. They need to try and take control of the map. Stop letting BMG recover like this because they are ahead. And when you are ahead, you never want to let the other team recover and get back into the game. So go for these outer 6 towers, and then hopefully set up kind of like a ward line is what I like to talk about between the top lane and the bottom lane, so you can see all the movement that BMG possibly could make. You can see where they're going to split push, where they're trying to go, and just use that Valkyrie Prism to go for pickoffs.
Yeah.
As actually Valkyrie's invised up with an invis rune here in the middle lane.
Yeah, just simply the invis rune. No Valkyrie Prism here, at least just yet. He's looking for some information at this point. I don't see any rev wards down. They do have dust on Rhapsody, and that would make sense. They're going to make a priority to have at least something here. Now, she just saw Empath place that ward aside, or at least I would have assumed so. So I wonder if that's going to be countered pretty quickly right here in their favor. Top lane, though, Willowkeeper realizing that they probably have a pretty good chance to push this top tower up here. Madman, by the way, won to get the token. I guess he could have maybe made an argument for Valkyrie, perhaps, being the carry after all, but Madman is definitely a very powerful token hero because of how quickly he can get back up and recover. No matter what he used before. Middle lane back here. Rhapsody, no chance. Take a bet. Just simply wandering by and ran into some invis and a portal key. And that's the life of a lonely support right there, so.
Yeah, no, good play there. I like that from Tree. Like, they're at the same time as they're pushing top, they're setting up middle and getting that pick off, and it's just salt in the wounds. They get the tower, but also a kill. Like, that kill, if you're BMJ and I, you're like, oh, we didn't need to give him that. And you know what? Balthazar, another step closer to his Dawnbringer. Has that light right now as well, finished up, so he's going to be starting to farm really, really fast. And I like this. Now they got Boxy with the Basher and the Energizer, so he's pretty strong himself. And now Valkyrie's eventually going to start becoming carries herself as she goes these farming items now. So I really think set up the ward line, play the farm game, and just try to out-farm the opposing team right now is the right call for Tree.
You know how else you could have farmed very fast is by a damn Thunderclaw, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn it.
No one's buying Thunderclaw. It's supposed to change the meta.
Dude, don't worry. We will. We'll buy it. I'll buy it. I promise. If I get the gold, I will buy it today, Berkey. For you.
All right.
For you.
Thank you. Somebody needs to. Top lane, they're trying to maybe find this Drunken, but staggering away, going to be that. But yeah, Searing Life finishes, you're pointing out, so very close to that Dawnbringer. Brutalizer on Madman, a fantastic item on him. So, again, they don't even have a Ring of the Teacher yet, let alone an Abyssal Skull, unless I'm missing that. No, it doesn't look like it. So, I mean, you got a Drunken Master on the other side, a lot of physical presence. Now, Ravener and Wretched Hag especially, majority magic. In fact, so the rest of the team basically all magic. So, it's a matter of how much you're worried about this Drunken Master. I think it's worth pointing out. What about you, Minnie? You think they could use one, or are you fine with them?
Well, I think the biggest issue here for BMG, actually middle lane.
You do have a jump here in the middle lane, pretty deep, but Foxy actually gets away. Pretty big turn happens.
Fast fingers.
Yeah.
But no, I think for the biggest thing here for BMG is that they need to pick up their Shrunken Heads. I mean, we talked about how Tree, they always like to run the heavy magical damage. Obviously, they do have the Valkyrie and Madman that are dishing out quite a bit of physical damage. Actually, Torturer might get picked off here from Hag. She's going to get denied most likely. Yeah, denied from Pharaoh. But yeah, they need their Shrunken Heads here on BMG. They need a Shrunken Head on Drunken Master and maybe a Shrunken Head on Wretched Hag, if not Ravenel, because without them, they're going to lose these team fights time and time and again. I don't know if Tree can really go high ground just yet. Obviously, they still do have the token on Madman. Maybe that's what they're going to do here. It's somewhat risky, obviously, because I think Drunken Master and Ravenel is going to have a buyback by that time. But BMG, they need these Shrunken Heads so vitally if they want to take and win these team fights.
Yeah. Drunken's usually a good call, so.
But I think I agree with Minimag. They don't want to go high ground yet. This is too early for them. They just want to set up that ward line, farm up, but not let BMG farm at the same time. It's so important that they keep BMG inside of their base. Right now, they're giving BMG a lot of space. BMG are allowed to push out their lanes. They're allowed to farm their own jungle. This is not something that Tree needs to allow them to do. If they want to, they could just as well be up here, taking control and forcing them out of their jungle. And I think this is to do with insecurity. If they dared to go for more plays here, it would have been better. Use that Valkyrie Prism more frequently as well. They haven't really used it since the early game.
That's true, yeah. They used it obviously at the bottom lane the one time, and it definitely worked out. But since then, they haven't really used it. They have at least used it one more time that I can recall, but yeah, didn't really get anything. But being active with it is a big thing. I mean, the cooldown on it, it's 120 seconds, but there's been plenty of 120-second periods throughout this game, so like to see it maybe a little bit more. But that also, again, that kind of goes back to what I was bringing up earlier as far as the try versus try laning phase. I mean, Valkyrie as the farming hero, as a carry, in this case, it's Baltazar playing it. He is the carry focus in this sense. Granted, you do have a Madman who's also farming pretty well, so you could also say, like, well, he kind of should be. So maybe that is to the fault of, again, or maybe the mindset of the player, that he's more the carry focus usually, so he's just making a point to farm the creeps rather than looking for those kills constantly. Actually, we do see here, though, Eruption being channeled by Magnus. He's going to get it off. Ravender gets the electrical feedback off, though. So it's going to help him a little bit right here, and it will ultimately keep him alive. The arrow's going to whiff right there, unfortunately. The Valkyrie Prison comes out, and it looks like that'll be the end of a fight chance by a very close attempt. The ball lightning, though, just missing Magnus there.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really dare to go for it. I think if they would have dedicated more, maybe used the Pharaoh hook, just gone in, they probably would have been able to kill the Ravener, but they weren't too sure of what's to come, so save the Ravener there. Tankafet was in great position, ready to use the what is it called? Protective Melody to keep him alive if they did overextend, so I mean, it's kind of hard to know in a situation like that. You don't really have great vision. That would have probably been a great spot for BMG to take the fight because they had a ward of sight that revealed everything, pretty much.
Yeah.
Place by support, but they were not confident enough either to take the fight, so I think that could have probably been a pretty good chance for BMG to make a recovery into the game.
Well, it doesn't work out fully, so instead they'll have to keep doing it with the very safe farming method right here. And I mean, so the Grimoire on Hack, he's had that obviously for a little bit, so it has been moving up and up, doing a 60 gold per minute. Not as rapid as we're probably used to seeing, but still is at least going in that positive direction. But here we go with Willowkeeper. You see that they're at the base, but no one's really here. Zibby's doing a good job of being very patient and basically sticking around the tower. Will they actually look to do dive? No, they're porting out, and that'll be the end of that. They're going top, though, and they're looking for a chance right here in the Russian Dag. The first stun lands. Is there the follow-up? Here comes Sparrow. Ball lightning comes in, but it's too late. And now actually Ravender putting himself in a dangerous spot. In fact, Rhapsody also going to cut a creep block to the background. They are going to keep chasing because there's no reason not to. Ravender in trouble. Wall up. No, the Mummy Walls brings it right back in. Big Mummy Walls right there. As the wall would have screwed them over, it looked like. The puzzle box is even helping. And so a couple of picks. The movement continues for Willowkeeper. And now they're going towards top. Valkyrie not even there, not even needed. She's actually still farming bottom. Now she's making her way up here. Other buybacks, there aren't both. But getting to use buybacks is a big deal.
Yeah, and you saw there again, though. Yeah, so I was just going to say that the Shrunken Head without Hag, like, you saw the burst potential from Tree. Like, although that was obviously a pickoff, like, that could definitely happen inside the base as well. She needs that Shrunken Head so vitally. And she's only 340 GPM, but here comes the push from Tree. They are going to be up before they sort of take racks, but Tree might decide to back off.
Safe play, yeah. Go back, maybe.
So what I was going to say was... when you want to use buybacks like this inside of the base, generally you want to have a hero blink stun, followed up by instant buybacks, so that the other team cannot just instantly back off as soon as you buyback. And in this situation, they only had the Drunken Master up, and he's not really the greatest hero to do that. He doesn't have a blink, he has no way of really getting straight in there. He could use the stagger and then try to run in with the lunge, but still not the greatest tool of initiation, so... if you're Tree in this position, you feel kind of safe pushing in towards the base when both Ravenor and Hag are down. Those are the two heroes that you want to make sure you kill before you go uphill.
Shrunken Head finishing full on Drunken, stressing how important that's going to be, so good to see him picking that up. There's the Abyssal Skull, so coming out on Madman, eventually does get it. He's actually been sitting on a Mighty Blade, so, speaking of Shrunken Heads, was going to, or still probably planning to get one himself, but putting priority on that Abyssal Skull first here for him in the sake of the team at this point, it looks like.
There was a neat little play by Balthazar here, actually, down at the bottom lane. He used the Valkyrie, what is it called? Javelin of Light, wow, what a name, on the Predator to prevent the stacking from the Hellborn. I mean, that is a really neat little play. I've probably never seen that done before. So well done from him. They're preventing BMG from getting a double stack.
Yeah. Showing another potential of why Valkyrie is, has every right to be on the scene right now and making use of her skill set, so well played. He has 1,900 gold saved up. Where does he go next, do you think? Thunderclaw? No. I know it's not going to be that
We could always hope.
close. What do you think, Minnie?
I think it's got to be a Shrunken Head again. They've got all this farm on Valkyrie. There's some good initiation from Raven. Obviously, the damage coming out from Wretched Hag. Of course, she is going against Shrunken Master. That is, is completely going to nullify the Shrunken Head pickup. But I mean, I think Shrunken Head is definitely a safe pickup. But at the same time, she's not doing too much damage either. So it depends what kind of what she or what Battlestar feels that the needs of. Because I mean, sometimes you could say, oh yeah, this is the item pickup he should go, but it really kind of depends on each game and what kind of the hero or the player does feel. Because some games maybe the Shrunken Head would make sense, but if you're not getting focused, if you're not getting sort of prioritized, there's no need to pick up a Shrunken Head. You can go for the more damage sort of oriented of items. And in this game, I don't think it's been sort of prioritized too much. So maybe like a full out damage item wouldn't be too bad, like maybe a Savage Mace or a crit. I know it sounds very, very risky, but I mean, it's still a possibility.
What about you, Insania?
It's hard to say, man. I could have told you for sure that Balthazar was like, any Madonbringer, but except for that, I have no idea. I know he likes that item. A little bit, reminds me a little bit of Nox. In that sense. He buys it maybe a little bit too often.
How's that going, by the way? Speaking of that, that's the.
Yeah. I think they're still in gold, man.
They're in the gold losers bracket finals. Or did they get knocked out?
Are you sure?
Check that.
I think they got knocked out.
They got knocked out. That's
Legger.
right. Yeah, they got knocked out by Prime Icarus. That's right.
Yeah.
Shout
I mean, I
to,
think this is. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say shout out to Dawn as well. Actually, made it to Diamond. They beat Ogre in the end to advance on to Diamond.
Did they?
So,
Okay.
Yep. So they're going to be in Diamond.
Yeah, I'm showing the brackets right now on screen. So yeah, Dawn's in the grand finals. This is the gold division. That's what we're referring to, guys, of Cycle 3. So the top two will make it on. So yeah, Dawn, no matter what happens here, they are going to be advancing on to the Diamond for Cycle 4. So they're going to be welcoming back. Of course, kind of a different Dawn team. And the big change is now they have Probusk. Certus no longer a part of the team. Probusk is a part. Prime Icarus defeated Rexars to get to the losers bracket finals. It's going to be Prime Icarus and Trek is Love. It looks like they're actually playing right now. The bracket's unfortunately bugged, so I can't tell where it's at. It says they both forfeited, but we know that's not the case. So, but
I can't believe Excellent lost to Prime Icarus, and so did Rexos as well. I don't know, it's crazy.
I don't know, dude. I think you gotta understand how important it is with practice. Like,
Yeah,
sure, excellent, fantastic players. They're all really good, but they're not in practice. Like, they haven't played Han for a long time, and at this point of time, they're more names than they are anything else. Like, you're afraid of the big name of Nox. That's a huge name to play against. But he's not in shape yet. He was talking to me on Skype actually earlier today, and but he's really passionate and he really wants to get back into Han again. And he says he has a lot of time on his hands. So, scary player to go up against.
good. That's good to hear. Hope for that sake. Everything. So you still stick around and everything works out there. But
Yeah.
we'll see. As far as again, they're going to be remaining at gold, of course, and going into Cycle 4. So. Keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how that Prime Icarus versus Shrek is up. Both those teams. I mean, Shrek has experience. Prime Icarus, as I was showing right there, they have Certus and Znui, a couple of names that you'd probably recognize going at it right now. So the winner of that will qualify for Diamond, which is why it's pretty important to keep an eye on it going into next cycle. But back to this game, as we see. Oh, there you go, Quincy, always on top of it. It's tied at 1-1 apparently, so they're in a Game 3 currently, is what it sounds like. At this point, so
I think I'm actually in Ogre's Skype call. Yeah, I am.
Let's ghost him.
Just
Ghost him, obviously.
Yeah.
Ghost.
I'm looking at that Game 3 right now, the lineups and everything. Nothing too crazy here, but yeah. So okay, we'll keep an eye on that and see how that turns out. But anyways, middle lane there possibly could be something. Drunken's kind of in an awkward spot here. He's gonna stagger away, but there we go. Magnus Dunn's in. He was looking exactly for that opportunity to follow up. No, not really. He popped untouchable. And they knew support was nearby, so they're fine just playing patient right there. Conqueror level 2 is up. Okay, second Conqueror.
Looks like they want it. Oh, this is a risky play from Tree. They're ahead, but because of their heroes and because of the items right now, there's only one Shrunken Head on their side, so if Hag gets a good Bat Blast, Ravenor gets a good double jump, that's 2 easy kills, so they really need to be careful with their positioning here. It's going to be key.
Yeah. They do got a double damage Madman, though. Madman's arguably one of the best heroes to do in Conqueror. Double damage helps with that, so.
There's no vision, though. There's no vision for BMG, so they're not going to initiate going in blindly. I mean, arguably that they probably should have maybe taken that fight, because I don't know how they're going to really defend against a token Madman. Obviously, they do have buybacks on Hag and Ravenor as well as Drunken Master, most likely, but giving up a That token is a big deal. Actually, there was the Rift Shot pick up to Valkyrie, so yeah, she doesn't feel like she does need the Shrunken Head, so she is going to go for the more damage route, and I think it probably is the best case, because obviously she's going to be staying in the background. Obviously, Pharaoh, Madman, and Madman actually might be getting initiated on there. But no. So yeah, he's just going to go for more damage item, and I think it makes sense. Like, there hasn't been a lot of refocus here on Valkyrie. Obviously, there's been a lot of damage onto Magnus, Pharaoh, and Madman, all the melee heroes, and just going for a raw damage item probably makes the most sense in this case.
Yeah, Rift Shard is obviously a cheap, for a Sir Savage base, very good too, but a lot more gold to invest into that, whereas they're kind of pushing right now, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But level 1 Rift Shards at this point, of a possible 4, of course. Arrow coming out. Not going to hit. Zivio's ready for that.
I would love to see Magnus blink in a stun there to set up that arrow. I definitely think it would have been worth it. Like, stun backwards towards his team, so he wouldn't expose himself to any danger. He has a tablet of command as well, so he wouldn't really be caught. But this is a very difficult high ground push from Tree. And even though I like that they're going to the top lane, this is probably the best lane for them to push, because it's less areas that they could get, jump from. They got the top side of the map that really cuts off the map, and they're probably just going to wait for an arrow. Yeah.
That blink from Hag.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just insane.
Oh, man.
Trying to live life on the edge right there. So it just continues to be kind of a stalemate at the tower, really, between these two teams. Again, the lead obviously well in favor of Willowkeeper. The lanes right now, no, nothing too crazy push, so it's not like BMG has to worry about another lane. They could just simply continue to do this. Granted, the defensive tower, it is taking some chip damage throughout all this, so that's the idea. There we go. Magnus always does that, and here's the arrow fall up. 5-second arrow on the Dragon Master. Protect him out. No, couldn't be in the background. It's not going to be stopped for the longest time right there, and it mitigates plenty. Bat Blast comes out. The Rusher heads out. Pharaoh is getting low, but so is Ravener. He goes down. Empath inside Hag, by the way. Buyback on a Drunken, so he did die, but he's back looking for some revenge. Madman's got the token. He's feeling a little bit more ballsy as a result. He's going back in, kind of back and forth. They lost Pharaoh, and actually... who's not with them? Magnus isn't with them currently. Oh no, DC is apparently happening. And are we going to see a pause here, or are they just going to keep going for the tower? I don't know, but Drunken Master is doing his part. He's going to jump on a Madman right there, but now he's starting to fall back and just simply to delay them. So
yeah, Magnus actually TP'd back because he got just clipped by the Haggle in, and he was actually going to drop down. He had like 40 HP, had to TP back.
Okay.
The dot damage registry was going to kill him, but he's going to be coming back here now.
So yeah, it's heading back up here, and actually, Willowkeeper is going to make a point of staying here. Again, Magnus still has that token. You see the lead from Valkyrie, but the catch after, and down she goes. And with Valkyrie dead, yeah, now all of a sudden Willowkeeper needs to play pretty defensive right here. Look at that, Fusa destroys the Bound Eye. Says if you're taking me, you ain't getting this present. And destroys it right in front of them. So at least a smart heads-up play there by Fusin at the last second, but still. BMG holds, and all it took was a buyback on Drunken. It's significant, sure, but it definitely could have been a lot worse right there.
Yeah, and Wretched Hag obviously has a Shrunken Head as well, so their team fight potential has definitely increased. Ravenor is closing in on his Shrunken Head, and that's where it gets a little bit obviously scary for Tree. They've got great magic damage, obviously Magnus, Pharaoh, and Torturer. And Valkyrie and Madman are doing a lot of damage, but at least the Shrunken Head is going to nullify a lot of Tree's damage here. So the next team fight might not be as easy actually here for Tree.
How do you feel, Insane? Do you think this lead really reflects how much chances for Tree?
I don't know. Not if they keep making decisions like that. And this is more often than not. People, you look at the stats too much and you get too dug into it. I mean, the gold advantage, sure, it's there. The XP advantage is there too. But they are not in a position where they can go high ground. Right now, their play is the star of BMG. They need to force BMG into their base and try and get more resources. They need to be much more ahead than this based off of their hero picks. Or they need to get a pick off outside of BMG's base. Because 5v5, when BMG's inside their base, that automatically gives Rhapsody fantastic positioning, as you saw in that team fight in the base there.
Yeah.
Where she's in fog, and oh no, if she gets picked off here, this could be a huge deal.
First hit, Brutalizer Brock, helping the deal there. Probably did anyways, but she's not buying back because she's down for 40 seconds. Yeah, stop talking about people,
Caster's cursed.
It's a real
Caster's
thing.
cursed.
You see top lane, they're going to push in. So yeah, with her dead, so Protective Melody not a threat as a result of that. Madman, he still has a token, remember. It's only 20 seconds remaining, though. So this is kind of that awkward spot at the same time. Madman wants to be able to stand his ground. They want to get this melee racks, but BMG, if they have some kind of timer in their head at least, they got to know that's running low at least. And I mean, now down in 10 seconds. 9, 8, Counting down, here we go. They're going to jump in. He wants them in the racks. Looks like he's going to get an eruption coming out as well. But the Shrunken Head goes off from Hag, but the physical damage is so much. So the token life has worn off, but Mammoth's doing plenty of damage. And it doesn't seem to matter. A double tap for Boxy right there. Playing the Madman, and they are going to get what they came for. In that sense, as far as the Rax is concerned. So, again, it was getting so close to maybe getting a kill right after the token, but he was able to just do so much damage that it didn't matter. In the long run, Wretched Ag had to blink out very defensively, and they're going to keep going, actually. Drunken Master, he does have a second and final buyback, so at least they're trying to force that. Raviter does not. He's only down for 20 more seconds, though. I assume, yeah, they're not going to give the racks. Magma stunts in. There is the buyback on a Drunken Master, though. He is pointing into the background, protecting Melody. Going to be coming out, stopped pretty quickly right there. And Wretched Ag is picked off. Drunken Master not going to last much longer. That could possibly do it. Hag buys back. The big Bat Blast doing some good damage, but not enough. Haxford falls again. And GG, well played. It looks like Willowkeeper. They're going to be taking game number 3 over Bad Monkey Gaming, and thus moving on to the grand finals here of Cycle 3 to take on Sync Esports in a best out of 5. So congratulations to Willowkeeper. Of course, we get another rematch here of what was Cycle 2. Would have had a rematch, I guess, in a sense either way, but Cycle 2 rematch of Willowkeeper versus Sync. BMG will finish 3rd. A little bit better than last cycle, but still, they got to be disappointed, especially knowing they were up 1-0 in the series, and overall it was just a great series. But final thoughts across the board, and Sandy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think this game really boils down to, I mean, honestly, you could tell in the early game, BMG were tilted. They were not playing on a BMG level, and this is kind of expected with this team. I've played with these guys before. We've been casted on Honcast, and I've been told how maybe slightly angry we sounded when we played back in NK, and yeah, I mean, this is just one of the problems when you have like an all-star team like this with a lot of big egos, a lot of players that have achieved a lot in their careers, and they all know how to win the game. They just have different ways of doing it, and sometimes it just doesn't click together perfectly.